Activist investor Bill Ackman has long said that Warren Buffett influenced his career. Now he is paying homage with a new investment in Berkshire Hathaway. Ackman's Pershing Square bought 3.5 million Berkshire B shares during the second quarter. As of yesterday's close, that's worth more than $680 million. Ackman's stake will reportedly be a passive investment. Separately, Berkshire Hathaway out with a new filing revealing the company boosted its Amazon stake by 11% during the second quarter.
And we are learning more about some other big whale moves from quarterly filings. Leslie Picker joins us, and she's right here to tell us about them.
That's right, Andrew. So we've talked a lot about IPOs on this show in the last several months. And the second quarter was a huge month for IPOs. A lot of those companies actually sold off in yesterday's market turmoil. But we now have a better sense of who snapped up all of those IPOs during the second quarter of the year. Tiger Global was a big buyer, the firm disclosing stakes in Chewy, CrowdStrike, Luckin Coffee, PagerDuty, and The RealReal. Chase Coleman's firm had owned Uber before the IPO and had been reported that they were trying to sell the stock before. As part of the listing, that same report said Tiger opted not to buy more stock as part of the IPO, but the firm's latest disclosure showed an ownership of about 7 million shares worth about $200 million at yesterday's prices. Third Point also bought into some of the high-flying deals. Dan Loeb took stakes in Tradeweb, Pinterest, Zoom, and CrowdStrike. And as for the best performing IPO this year, up more than 550% despite yesterday's sell-off, Beyond Meat. Yes, the investors did not include big names we often talk about. In fact, hedge funds were barely invested in the company at all. Attica Capital Management and Axel Capital Management are the hedge funds with the largest stakes. Still relatively small, though. Now, remember, guys, these positions are as of the end of the second quarter and may have changed in the 6 weeks since.
Can but explain the Buffett piece? I mean, I don't get it.
With Ackman?
Yeah.
It's a passive investment, right. I'm told. And
that's all it can ever be.
That makes a lot of sense because obviously Warren Buffett holds a huge voting majority of those shares. So to run a proxy fight against Warren Buffett would be a very difficult uphill battle.
I mean,
so the shares have been depressed recently. I think they're down about 9% this year or so. And at the end of the day, activist investors are value players, so they look for things that are cheap that they can generate a return. And Ackman hasn't disclosed anything since Starbucks last year. He hasn't really gone activist, at least publicly activist, on anything since ADP, and recently sold shares of that. It looked like he might get involved with UTX, writing a letter to them, to the CEO there, and urging for a breakup, but then recently sold out of shares of UTX as well. And so this is part of a broader trend of activists really kind of taking a step back.
I think it's awesome. Ackman's like, I've been doing this for a while. I'm not that great. I'm just going to give my money to Buffett and head to Corsica.
And his returns have been...
shouldn't that...
It's working for him.
This year's work.
Yeah, he's up 50% right now.
I'm kidding about the JCPenney and some of the other...
why run an expensive proxy fight if you can just kind of invest in good companies?
Ackman had some of the great calls of all time. Early on, General Growth and some of those other things. He had Alexander's that he was involved. It's just, I don't know. You guys.
It gets hard when you get bigger.
It does. But can you imagine? It's like, what should I do? Just throw in the towel. Give it to Buffett.
Give it to Buffett.
Go on your yacht somewhere.